1 Samuel chapter 30. When David and his men arrived at Ziklag on the third day, they found that the Amalekites had invaded the southern region, attacked Ziklag, and burned it to the ground. They had taken captive the women who were there. However, they did not kill anyone, whether young or old. They took them with them as they went on their way. When David and his men came to the city, they saw that it had been burned and their wives, sons, and daughters had been taken captive. David and his companions wept loudly until they had no more strength to weep. Among those captured were David's 2 wives, Ahinoam from Jezreel and Abigail, Nabal's widow from Carmel. David was greatly distressed, as the people were talking of stoning him. But David found strength in the Lord his God. David said to Abiathar the priest, the son of Ahimelech, "Please bring the ephod here." Abiathar brought the ephod to David. David inquired of the Lord, "Should I pursue these raiders? Will I overtake them?" The Lord answered, "Pursue them, for you will certainly overtake them and will certainly rescue the captives." So David and his 600 men set out, and they came to the Brook Besor. Some of the men stayed behind, while David and 400 men continued on. They found an Egyptian in a field and brought him to David. They gave him bread to eat and water to drink, as well as a piece of fig cake and 2 clusters of raisins. After he ate, his strength returned, for he hadn't eaten or drunk anything for 3 days and nights. David asked him, "To whom do you belong, and where are you from?" He answered, "I'm an Egyptian, the slave of an Amalekite. My master abandoned me when I fell ill 3 days ago. We had raided the Negev of the Kerethites, the territory of Judah, and the Negev of Caleb. We burned Ziklag." David asked him, "Can you lead me to this raiding party?" He replied, "Swear to me by God that you won't kill me or hand me over to my master, and I will lead you to them." After bringing him down, they found the Amalekites spread out over the land, eating, drinking, and celebrating because of the great amount of plunder they had taken from the land of the Philistines and the land of Judah. David struck them down from twilight until the evening of the next day. Not one of them escaped, except 400 young men who rode off on camels. David recovered everything the Amalekites had taken. He also rescued his 2 wives. Nothing was missing, young or old, sons or daughters, plunder or anything else they had taken. David brought everything back. He took all the flocks and herds, and his men drove them ahead of the other livestock, saying, "This is David's plunder." When David came to the 200 men who had been too exhausted to follow him and had been left at the Brook Besor, they came out to meet him and the people with him. As David approached, he greeted them. But some of the wicked and worthless men among David's followers said, "Because they didn't go with us, we will not share any of the plunder we recovered. They can take their wives and children and go." David replied, "My brothers, you must not do this with what the Lord has given us. He protected us and handed over to us the raiders who came against us. Who can agree with you on this matter? The share of the one who goes into battle is to be the same as the share of the one who remains with the supplies. They will share equally." From that day forward, David established this as a statute and ordinance for Israel, and it remains so to this day. When David came to Ziklag, he sent some of the plunder to the elders of Judah, his friends, saying, "Here is a gift for you from the plunder of the Lord's enemies, to those in Bethel, in Ramoth of the Negev, and in Jattir, to those in Aroer, in Siphmoth, in Eshtemoa, to those in Raisins, in the towns of the Jerahmeelites, and in the towns of the Kerethites, to those in Hormah, in Bor Ashan, in Athach, to those in Hebron, and to all the places where David and his men had roamed."